Have you ever felt that stress, that constant nagging pressure of not knowing your life's purpose? We're always told that finding it is the secret to happiness. But what if the search itself is actually the problem? Okay, let's really get into this and explore a totally different way to think about purpose, one that can actually lower your stress and bring way more joy into your life. And hey, if you feel this way, you are so not alone. It's not just you, not by a long shot. Studies show that a staggering 91% of people experience what psychologists actually call purpose anxiety. It's that awful feeling of frustration or like you're falling behind, all because you haven't found your one grand calling. And right there, that's the central question we're going to unpack. If having a purpose is so good for us, it's linked to better health, even a longer life, then why is the hunt for it so often just a miserable experience? Well, it turns out the answer isn't in what we're looking for, but in how we've been taught to look for it. So yeah, let's start with this big idea, the purpose paradox. The issue isn't that you're somehow failing to find purpose. Nope. The real problem is that the way our culture thinks about purpose pretty much sets most of us up for anxiety and failure from the very beginning. And this isn't just some vague feeling, It's a recognized psychological thing. Purpose anxiety is that specific stress that comes directly from the search. It's that immense pressure to try and figure out some huge secret mission for your life that you feel like everyone else has already found. So, does any of this sound familiar? Maybe you find yourself jumping from job to job, just hoping the next one will finally be the one. Or maybe you're constantly fighting imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud because you haven't got it all figured out. These are all classic signs that the pressure to find your purpose is really starting to get to you. Okay, so where does all this pressure really come from? Well, the main culprit is our cultural obsession with what we can call a big P purpose. That one single earth-shattering mission that we're all supposed to magically discover. Let's break this down because it's a real game changer. The big P purpose is all about a massive outcome, like cure a disease or end world hunger. The stakes are incredibly high, and honestly, it's a recipe for burnout. But on the other hand, you have little p purpose. This is all about the process. Small, personal things you can do, like spreading a little kindness every day. The stakes are low, you can't really sail, and the result, just simple everyday joy. And this is why shifting our focus is so incredibly powerful. Embracing the little p isn't about thinking smaller or settling for less. It's about building a way of life that's actually sustainable and deeply fulfilling. So look, here's why this approach just works. Little p, purpose, makes joy abundant. It's not this scarce resource you have to wait for at some distant finish line. It's authentic because it's based on what you genuinely love, not what other people think you should do. And you succeed every single time you just do the activity, which means way less anxiety and a life that's full of positive moments instead of future regrets. Hospice physician Dr. Jordan Grumet puts it absolutely perfectly. He says purpose isn't about some huge, monumental achievement. It's about finding meaning in those small, everyday moments that just light you up. That's it. That's the whole secret. Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But how do you actually put it into practice? Let's get down to it. It's time to go from just understanding this idea to actually building purpose in your own life. All right, first things first, we need a major mindset shift. Stop searching for your purpose like it's some lost city of gold. You're not a passive searcher here. You are an active creator. You have the power to build a meaningful life, starting this very moment. Here's a really simple 3-step framework to get you started. First, do a life review. Look back at your life. What moments really made you feel proud or joyful or alive? Those are your clues. Second, use those clues to define your little p. And third, turn that purpose into what Dr. Grumet calls a climb, an ongoing activity that you can do regularly. Now, the key to making your climb work is that it has to be enjoyable. And this next part is absolutely critical. It needs to be goal agnostic. That means you define success simply by showing up and doing the thing. That's it. The outcome doesn't matter. If you love to paint, success is painting, not selling a painting. This totally removes the fear of failure. Now, here is a really critical piece of advice. It's wonderful and beautiful to love and care for other people, but please never make another person your sole purpose. Kids grow up, relationships evolve. If your entire identity is wrapped up in someone else, you risk losing yourself when things change. Your purpose has to be your own. When you start creating your own purpose like this, you're not just making your present better. You're fundamentally redesigning your future. This whole approach is basically the ultimate defense against a life filled with regret. It can even break negative patterns that run in families. Think about it like this. You've probably heard of money scripts, right? Those are the unconscious beliefs about money we inherit from our childhood. Well, just like we can inherit financial anxiety, we can inherit purpose anxiety. But by consciously choosing your little p purpose, you can actually break that cycle and create a whole new legacy of fulfillment for yourself. Research on what people regret is just fascinating. We might feel bad about mistakes we've made. Those are regrets of action. But those feelings, they tend to fade over time. What really haunts people, what looms largest at the end of their lives, are the regrets of inaction, the chances they didn't take, the dreams they didn't pursue. In fact, when nurses and hospice workers ask people what they regret most, this is the number one answer, time and time again. It's not about money, it's not about promotions. It was about not having the courage to live a life that was true to themselves, instead of the life that others expected of them. So creating your purpose, it's really an act of courage. So all of this brings us to the final and really the most important question. This isn't about figuring out some grand 50-year plan. It's about right now. Right here. Based on everything we've talked about, what is one small, joyful action you can take today to start creating your purpose?